What is up, everybody? Hello and welcome to this, I guess, kind of weird edition of Sneak Attack, Quarantine Edition. Yeah, we'll call it Quarantine Edition. As you can see, the fact that you can see us is strange, and the fact that we are not in the same space is secondarily strange. But my name is Reed. I'm the host and person who participates in Sneak Attack sometimes. To my top left, we have, and this will be fun because it'll be different for everybody. Josh, it's you.
Josh, I also am a person.
And then Kelsey.
It's Kelsey, the only girl.
Coin flip for the... Yeah, okay, good job, Dan.
Yes!
And
me.
There we go.
Process of elimination.
Yep. It's like the Brady Bunch. We're all looking at each other in the opening credits. So what this is a way for us to not only hang out as a group, because we all love each other very much, and so I miss being able to sit down at a table with these fools and hang out. So this is kind of our way of still getting together as a group and hanging out, but also we're recording this and going to be releasing it just for you guys as well, because despite the fact that we can't do serialized episodes every Friday like we wish we could, we want to have something for you guys. And if it's just us hanging out, that's something. But we're doing something kind of unique in that we have clips from previous episodes of Sneak Attack that we're going to be listening to as a group and then talking about, almost like providing post-release commentary for these clips, or just explaining what our thought process was, like what the reaction at the table was, if we can even remember. We've been doing this for like 5 years, remember? And yeah, we'll just kind of chat about it and we'll move on. So before we get started, before we dive right into the whole clip show thing, how's everyone doing? How's quarantine life?
It improved. It improved 14 minutes ago when you asked Josh and I to separate.
Wow.
Dan,
we all know how she really feels.
Yeah, no, I know it's not a ruse. This isn't for the show. This is all just legit. Dan, how goes quarantine life?
It's pretty good. I still am out and about. I've been fixing toilets lately for some reason. So,
hey, Danny, could you install a utility sink?
In a toilet?
You'd have to cut. You'd have to cut. Shut up.
I'm glad we're using this time very,
We'd have to.
We're pooping a lot over here.
You'd have to cut into an existing pipe and add a new pipe, and then install
a neighbor's pipe.
We're gonna take some of that neighbor water.
Yeah, Danny. While we have you, is there other things you can fix?
We'll pay you. I'm not saying do it for
I just
free.
mean this rare phone call that we have. This time we have right now. Let's talk about home improvement.
Hey, I have pregnancy brain. I forget things a lot. If I don't say it now, I'm never going to remember.
That's fair.
Speaking of pregnancy brain, someone wrote in on this form for like the Ask Sneak Attack form that we put out, which will be in the description for this video and this episode, by the way. Someone wrote in, it was like, wait, like someone's pregnant? Is it Mike? I was like, it's Mike.
Mike, surprise, you're pregnant.
It's crazy.
This is how we're telling you.
Wow.
I like how we started the podcast with people who had kids, and even then, Kelsey and I were the last ones to have kids while the podcast was on.
Well, I mean, that's assuming like the remainder of us don't have any more kids ever, which...
No, but I mean, you guys all had another, like all of you had a kid while we were running the show.
Oh, I see.
I
see what you're saying. Yeah. Hey,
we lapped you.
It's just every timing is unique. I mean,
you know what? You go right on ahead. You keep lapping us, Mike.
Yeah. Tiff and I were married for 9 years. Before we had our first. So it's everyone's timing is different. So let's jump right into the clip thing, because this is very interesting.
Head, by the way.
Did you really?
I really did.
Oh my god!
That's why I'm glad we've separated.
This is pandemic, Josh.
I think I'm gonna do that.
Cannot be found in stores.
Danny, you have like a legit hairstyle. Why would you do that?
It sounded like a thing to do.
Do you want to know how desperate things have gotten in our household? I had Tiffany give me a haircut.
Oh,
How'd that go?
You're
How'd
gonna
it
pop that
go?
hat. Pop
How's
that.
that fade?
Let's go. Shaved
So-
head. Shaved
Oh
head.
my gosh,
It's just long on the top,
that's pretty
but
good.
there's no
actually.
blending. It's like
We
That's
can't
okay.
tell.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
that looks
Looks
good.
great from here.
Does it
Oh, it
feel
looks-
good? That's
You
the
know what,
question.
Reed?
How's it
It
feel?
looks better than Josh's
Yeah.
buzzed head.
So-
hey,
I
I
kinda
don't
like
think this looks
Josh's
bad. I feel like I
buzzed
look strong. I feel like I'm a warrior now.
I think he looks like he's gonna beat somebody up.
Yeah.
you do kind of, but it's in a good way, like
Hey,
a
this is the
defending
season
honor.
Where I want to look that way. You come to my house with
That's
with
right.
the Corona, and I'm gonna knock you out.
You need some tribal tats.
Oh,
I want to get a sleeve eventually. I
Well,
do.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's your
You
new
look like
home
you work at
project.
Subway.
Mike, you look like you play hacky sack all the time.
Fair.
harsh,
enough.
but fair.
I didn't know there was a type of person that worked at Subway.
Yeah,
It's really
Josh.
funny though. I have a friend
He's
who
the
did work
manager.
at Subway. It's like, guys, listen, it's Subway, but I'm a manager. This is a serious job. We shave our heads.
Shout out to people that work at Subway.
You know, they're the real heroes here.
Everybody.
Okay, so let's do this first clip. I forget which one it is. I have my notes. And if all goes well, Danny has these clips loaded on his soundboard that he should be able to play it, and we should all hear it at the same time. I hope.
Dan,
Don't mess it up.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead and play the first clip there, Dan.
And then Sherwood slowly starts walking up to him. His hands, as far as you can tell, look to be almost completely blackened. And walks up, and your father turns, and he's immediately looks like he's aged 200 years.
Oh,
Hair
no.
is white, skin is much thinner. He looks like he's lost a lot of weight. He turns to face Sherwood one last time, and Sherwood reaches his hand out and puts it on his shoulder, and your father just drops to the ground entirely. And at that point, Sherwood just walks back to the middle of the bridge and stands there silently. And the scene does not change.
Okay, I think that's the end of it. So
Wow.
yeah,
Starting on a high note here. Reed.
Was that to remind me that I'm supposed to be mean to Mike? I don't remember.
it's funny because
It's very appropriate that my screens went dark.
there was the comment that accompanied that that timestamp was specifically wondering about the phrase "the scene doesn't change," and maybe you guys have a better memory over the Plane of the Damned stuff than I do. But the question was, since I said distinctly that the scene didn't change, was that intentional so that like no one would knew that Mike was like ate the wish spell or was constantly reading the wish spell, you know, over all those years? Or was it just like a thoughtless omission? And so I was wondering, from your guys' perspective, do you remember how each scene changed, like when you were going through your worst moments in the Plane of the Damned?
Mm. I
I
vaguely remember mine.
I don't remember having worst moments. My character was flawless, and the internet tells me that regularly. So
True.
I remember mine. But I was also editing those, so
but do you remember how they changed? He's asking like how they
like what the
like, tr-
differences. I didn't know we were gonna get quizzed here, Reed.
No, I wasn't certain either. It's just like, okay, let's first talk about one thing, and then we'll move on to the scene change thing. Like, what do you guys remember most about those episodes? The plane, because I think there were 5 Plane of the Damned episodes.
Mhm.
So like, what do you guys remember most about those episodes?
Wasn't
Death
there
Maros.
like character backstory revealed in some of those episodes?
In almost all of them, I think.
Yeah. I remember Grex
Yeah.
being like a young child and basically getting all of his friends killed.
Mm.
Yep.
Yep.
And yours, as the Colonel, yours
Was
was you were like hiding under that carriage while orcs attacked your camp.
It's where the
Yeah,
party
you were
like,
being a
found out
sham.
the Colonel's real story.
That was the
Damn.
that was the big reveal for the party, was learning the Colonel wasn't really what he said he was.
Well, the big reveal was supposed to be that Sherwood killed Brenna's dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the big reveal.
That was like the bigger thing.
That's fair.
that didn't impact Josh, so he doesn't care about it.
And you guys both had like your worst memory was the same memory, was the same example. So yeah, like I don't know. I remember not really wanting to record those episodes because I was like, I know where this is going, and like I'm not sure how people are going to react. Not only you four, but also the audience. I'm just like, it's really hard to tell emotional stories, especially over a podcast where there's no like nuance with the face. And so I was like, I don't know how this is going to like get received at all. This might actually be terrible and like super over dramatic and not actually like poignant to the story.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously, hindsight and all, I feel like it was obviously received well, but I remember being very nervous going into those sessions.
I remember I had to take a walk.
Right, because like between episodes, right?
Yeah, I took Appa for a walk because I was like, I need to like wrap my head around this and figure out like how I'm going to react and as a character, and because obviously I knew, but it was still emotional.
Yeah. I listened to pretty much that whole exchange because I was clipping stuff. So I was listening to the whole exchange, and there's definitely a moment where Kelsey, you're just like one word answers the whole time. You're just like, yep, okay. I'm just like, okay, she's processing, and this is difficult.
Josh loves one word answers from me. He knows that that's when I'm my happiest.
Yeah. I love feeling like she's talking to a lawyer.
Was that what it was like growing up? Lawyer father.
No, my father barely talked at home. He couldn't get a word in edgewise between my sister and I.
I remember like it taking me a decent amount of time to figure out what actually was going on. I feel like that we were repeating past experiences.
Sure.
I think
those time jumps can be discombobulating.
But I do remember the moment I realized what was happening. It got me kind of excited about like what we were doing.
I think
very, very creative.
I think like obviously I have like an arc planned for volume 2 and like where I want to see stuff. And I keep thinking back to like my favorite character arcs or story arcs in volume 1. And I go like, man, those were like really good, but they felt so organic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like all that stuff just felt like it just developed naturally. And
do you feel like that's hindsight though? Like,
oh, for sure.
It's past.
Yeah.
Like in the moment you think like, oh, there's no way this is going to make sense.
I think there's a certain amount of just like positive memories that come from, the Plane of the Dam series or the Temple series and all that stuff from just like, oh man, like this was really great. I would love to be able to tell a story of what I consider to be that quality in volume 2 or like have something work out that same way. And it like, but we're too close to volume 2 right now. Like can't see the forest from the trees kind of thing. So
yep.
I feel like maybe in a year or so I'll get a better appreciation for volume 2. But yeah, I remember like looking back at the end of volume 1, we finished everything and being like, man, I really loved like those 2 or 3 arcs that were more important even than I think we knew they would be at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the whole like Dathmeros, Plane of the Damned, Sherwood killing Brenda's dad thing was a beefy turn for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like that ended up having some seriously cool like character moments and down the road some seriously cool payoffs.
It was also like, I can't believe that we actually got that to be episode 100. Just like the way that all worked out.
That was beautifully orchestrated.
Yeah, that was very serendipitous. I appreciated that.
And that was still like D&D podcast was still kind of a burgeoning genre. Like wasn't as saturated as it is now when we got to episode 100. And so I remember there being a lot of like chatter online about people saying they literally like they're killing people on Sneak Attack.
It's like the Game of Thrones of D&D podcasts. They don't care who your favorite character is.
Oh gosh, does that mean we're in season 8?
At what point does Reed get to go write like something else and just quit on us?
Yeah, I'm just never gonna finish like the last 2.
He's waiting for Disney to call.
Yeah, my phone is my phone's open. Disney, make it happen. Okay, so that's. I mean, I didn't actually intend to start with like a super downer one. There's another one that I was hoping, but Danny pushed a different button, and that's fine.
No.
No,
I just loaded them in the order that they showed up in my thing.
that's okay.
I was legitimately shocked that we started with like the most downbeat.
Yeah, so I'm looking at my notes. I was like, wait, which one is this? Oh no, like I know which one this is.
You gave it to the one who shrugs, Reed. You gave it to the one who shrugs.
I wouldn't have it any other way. Dan, just go ahead and push another button. I don't know which one this is going to be, but
Just take some sticks and tie them together.
yeah.
Here goes nothing.
At this point, the guy kind of like rings his head back and forth.
Oh, I
Just
know, okay.
It's freeing to have that gag removed. And he says, "Thanks."
Yes, of course. What's your name?
My name is Anrondel.
Rondell.
Anrondel.
It's a dumb name.
Can you just, Brenna turns to Greg, can you just, like, not talk for a little bit, maybe?
Well, Ronald, what's your purpose here?
He's kind of chuckles to himself.
The Colonel takes off one of he's got like riding gloves on.
Mm-hmm.
He takes off a glove and swiftly slaps him across the face.
Baby
chuckles.
Jesus, okay.
Okay.
Woo!
The guy, his face gets tossed to one side and he like spits out of his mouth a little bit. And he just looks at you and says, okay. Well, what was your question?
What is your purpose here?
I think you know who I am.
Ronald, we've established that.
This is the longest clip.
You're the prince of the apocalypse.
I
And
told you not to talk.
He kind of looks over at you guys and said, I don't believe I got to pleasure your name.
Don't tell
Your
him.
master knows me.
That's such a weird response.
All right. He just he turns back to the Colonel.
Bold. Love it.
He says, listen, do whatever you want. You ain't getting any information out of me, so you might as well kill me.
Okay.
Nope.
No.
Dear boy, you do not want to feel the tip of my sword?
No.
That's how it ends.
Why that's called the Colonel's tip. I was like, I don't know why it's called this.
Y'all guys are childish.
Okay, Mike. Okay.
Yeah.
Time for you to feel the tip.
Of my sword.
So that was Dark Gaming who submitted that one, and specifically they just thought it was funny because that was the Colonel's introduction to Sneak Attack. That was the first time we ever met the Colonel. You got like the Colonel got introduced as that prisoner was being hauled in, and he was like had a hood over his head and a gag on his mouth or something, and then
Rondell McDonald.
Arn
and Rondell.
and Rondell. That's what it was. Yeah.
And then but as he's getting let in, like I think it was Tegan at the time. Yeah, Tegan was having a conversation with the three of you, introducing the Colonel to you as like, hey, this is like someone who might be able to help you. And
That's right.
and so that interrogation was the first time you'd ever actually like interacted with the Colonel. That was also the guy that had the key like embedded in his back.
I can tell it was the first time that we interacted with the Colonel because I'm trying to keep Greg in line, but I'm not doing anything about the Colonel.
Yeah, I thought that was a little odd. I was like, she normally would be reprimanding me too, I feel like.
Mhm. Yes, 100%.
She just didn't know to yet.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
No?
I thought that Akio was one of a kind, but Danny, you sure proved us that you need to be reined into.
You know, it's funny because like I'm in such like volume 2 mode right now that to have like I mean that's a serious conversation, like interrogating a prisoner kind of thing, and you expect Greg to jump in, you expect Greg to be like, I'm gonna like do the thing, but in volume 2, I mean, like that would be like a chip conversation, and so in both of these clips so far, we haven't heard Mike like at all.
Was Mike a part of Volume 1? I don't remember.
It's a vague
Wow.
memory.
No.
Shots
No.
fired.
No. I actually wasn't there half the time, which was nice. So I came every other 2 weeks.
There were those
Um,
weeks where you just sat on the couch because your character hadn't been introduced yet.
Yeah.
Those were great.
You know,
Well,
Mike was just there for the little bit that was killing your dad.
I remember the time between the Temple series where Akio died and when we introduced the Colonel was longer than I wanted it to be. So Danny showed up to like, I think like 2 full sessions, and he only got to talk at the very end of the 4th recording. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I did not mean for you to be silent this whole time. You're like, yeah, it's fine.
It's good for Danny to get out of the house.
I feel like the time between Sherwood and Milo was much shorter. Like maybe only an episode.
I always feel like Reed's low-key mad when one of us dies and we get to like opt out. And I'm like, it'll be okay. Like I could stay out for like 6 weeks. He's like, no, I want you at the episodes. I want you present. I'm like, but I'm not even. He's like, I want you there. I'd like you to come in like 2 episodes. And I was like, oh, I thought I'd be gone for like 10. He's like, no. He just seems mad.
Not a sabbatical. Not a sabbatical.
And Mike's like, I got house projects I was hoping to get caught up on.
I'm like, our character died. Give it some room.
If he gave us time off, we would kill our characters to get vacation.
Yeah.
He knows better.
I'm out of here.
It's like, Danny, we're not giving you another break.
I walk off a cliff.
It's a lot of people, like both in response to like on our Twitter and also in response to this Google form, when we said that we weren't doing like serialized recordings anymore, a lot of people had the question of like, well, why can't you just record remotely? And I think that like that response that I had to Mike is kind of the reason why. Is like, I don't care like about your character being here. I just want to hang out with everybody. You know what I mean? Like I want to, and but part like even aside from like logistical things that would be very difficult to overcome for remote recordings, like I just want to hang out with my friends. Like that's why we started playing D&D in the first place, is because it was a cool opportunity to almost like remind ourselves, yes, we should be hanging out. We all like each other. We should be hanging out. And then it of course ballooned into something else entirely. So I feel like just that mentality of like I feel like the hanging out part is more important to me than like the actually playing, like recording a podcast. So I'd much rather, I just want to do that. So when
to be fair, I hadn't really met Danny before we started playing D&D, so I didn't know if I wanted to hang out with him.
It's true.
Jury's still out.
But now he's my favorite. So
I'm out of probation period.
Sorry,
and
Josh.
we need him to fix things in our house.
Yes. There's still toilets.
Utility sink.
I mean, you laugh. I've known Dan for 18 years, and he literally helped me install a shower like a couple months ago. So, you know.
18 years is a shower, Dan?
Yeah. Yep. Utility sink, that's like 25, I feel like.
I don't have that time. That's a long commitment.
Okay. So that one was submitted by Dark Gaming. Thank you, Dark Gaming. The first one was submitted by Blake V. I apologize. I don't know how to say your last name, Blake. So I'm just calling you Blake V. So we have 4 other clips we're going to go through. And also just a reminder to everyone out there who's listening, if you do not include a timestamp in your submission, like to the Google form, it's not going to get played. People are just like, this moment. I was like, that's like not helpful to me. We have 200 episodes. I'm not going to listen to an hour-long episode just to get your question. Sorry, but that's not my responsibility in this project. So, yeah, just timestamp, actual minute, seconds, and then until this minute and second, and then I'll listen, and then we'll decide if it's worthy of a clip. So that's the process. Also, one thing in that clip specifically, I wanted to point out is I feel like it was so interesting having a new character introduced and there being no music behind it. Like, I actually like that creative decision. Like, as I'm hearing it, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh man, I'd try and find like a glove slap sound effect, or just have like some music that kind of like was the Colonel's theme or something behind that. But then I hear it, I go, actually, I just kind of dig it, like the no music side of things.
You know what the best part of that was? I was about to go, good job, Reed. That was a really good decision.
Nope, that was all Josh.
I can't remember if that was intentional or if I was just tired at that point.
Hey,
that many episodes in, I can't remember.
He's patting you on the back. Take it.
I mean, always, all my edits are so intentional, Reed. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay.
I'm a really good editor.
It's true, you are. Danny, fire up that sweet bean footage.
All right, here we go.
Akio, why don't you tell us what happened last time?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode.
Oh my god.
Keep going. You're doing really well.
I'm Akio, your host and player, and to my left we have
Brenna.
Milo.
And I'm Reed.
Last week on Sneak Attack, the gang came out above ground, and Akio talked to some dead people, figured out that the Princes of the Apocalypse are fighting the dwarves, and big reveal, they work for Valisar.
No way.
This is gold.
It happened. And then involved in a big fight, and we found out that the Ponapolians are here, and they're trying to get Milo.
Bueller. Every time you say the gang, I think of It's Always Sunny.
Yeah. The gang lights Sweet D on
Oh my
fire.
god. You always, like, whenever you're saying your name, you're always being like crazy and wacky, and then now you have this whole chunk of time and you're just right here, not going anywhere else. We're just nice and mellow.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, this
Time
is
for the
Akio.
late night.
This is, yeah.
Akio.
Akio's ASMR podcast.
Oh. And the noodle.
Slap
in the noodle.
That's the part I was waiting for.
There it is.
What is up with the innuendo? And are all of the clips they're gonna pick from the entire history of our show the ones where a noodle or a tip gets mentioned?
Hey,
By
again,
Danny.
exclusively Danny, by the way. Like, let's I'm saying, Dan, in these trying times, the Akio ASMR podcast, it could finally see the light of day. This might be the moment for it.
I have a friend who wants me to start a podcast where I interview other people with the name Dan.
Just with no agenda, like
no agenda, just see what life's like as
I
Dan
love that.
in the world.
Danny, I know a guy named Dan who would be great to interview.
The security guard at our school is named Dan. You should interview him.
There you go.
The guy I know does like hosting for like big companies,
There you go.
big events.
what
The security guard does not do big things.
what would a couple of the questions be on the Dan interviews, the Dan on Dan podcast?
Dan on Dan on Dan.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. It's an interesting premise. Finding other Dans.
Would the
from
first one
around-
be Dan, Danny, or Dan?
around the world?
Ooh, yeah, or Danielle. Could you be any form?
Maybe.
I've got 2 title pitches for you.
Okay.
Dan to Dan defense
Okay.
or Dan in real life.
Mm.
Ooh. Yes.
And just a picture of you with some pancakes.
With my head on the table.
Yeah.
Laying down. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, we're gonna need that graphic. We're gonna need that graphic made.
Stat.
I kind
On
of like the Akio ASMR podcast idea though.
My favorite thing is always throwing the intro to one of the four of you, not knowing that it's coming, and then just seeing what happens.
Yes, I loved when you did that.
And I love that Danny's go-to was just to talk about what happened to Akio.
Specifically, yeah.
That's what I remember.
So that was from Sage. Thank you, Sage. That one was mostly just bringing back the idea of an Akio ASMR podcast, which I am all for. I don't know
Would I have to be Akio?
Oh yeah, obviously.
Like in
the
Brandis?
appropriate version, though.
Well,
family friendly ASMR.
I don't think any ASMR is family friendly.
This is the sound
ASMR for you and your kids.
This is the sound of stepping on a Lego.
This is the sound of petting a dog.
Go for it, Dan.
This is the sound of
scrubbing a toilet.
This is the sound of slurping a noodle. Don't do that one.
I hope you're sitting with your parent and you're listening. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. ASMR podcasts or just like anything is just uncomfortable in general.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Sage. I think, we have 3 more. Again, I have no idea which order this is because this is definitely the last half of the ones I thought we were going to listen to.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Lock it away.
Is question is
make a deposit in the bank?
Is Lucky becoming an addict? Is that did I just use like a gateway drug and now I'm looking for like
I think you're becoming an addict.
Form of ecstasy or
You
something?
sound a little stronger. Yeah, I think you're definitely you're going down that path.
Okay.
So this was something I needed reminding of because it happened very early in season 1 of volume 2. You tried some like crazy space drug powder, Lucky.
That made me strong.
I think so. It gave you some it gave you some like huge bonuses to strength, but huge negatives to intelligence or something. And it was like,
right.
You asked if you were becoming an addict, and I remember so little of that. When I saw the question come in, I was like, they surely are confused. But it turns out it happened.
Why didn't I dig down that well? Like, why didn't I think more about like what types of effects can different types of vape give me?
I mean, that's a great question. Let's explore that.
I kind of want to.
You could make a table like the Sorcerer's Wild Magic.
Oh gosh, I think I'm done making 100 different things that could happen.
Let me do it. I'll make 100 different things that could happen.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Good. Josh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's move on.
I still
has to listen to everything T tells him to do.
I still get
98.
Oh gosh. I still get requests for like, hey, can I get the amulet table? And the answer is always emphatically no. No, you cannot. That one's just for us.
Make your own.
Yeah, make your own.
How many
numbers
numbers did we go through in the show? I remember some fans actually like put it together.
Well, yeah, Kelsey has very detailed notes of all the effects.
Yeah, I did it.
I think it was probably like between 50 and 60 unique abilities or unique reactions.
So we did half the work. You did half the work for everybody. They can just fill in the other 50 with their own.
There you go.
And we only had a couple that were doubled.
Yeah, I think we only got duplicates like 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So really, if we just duplicate everything else, that's a whole list of 100 guys. Like,
yeah, that's true. You don't have to do like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and boom, you got your own table right there. Just listen to all of volume 1 again, document everything, and then then the work's done for you.
That's it.
Personally, I would love to see, especially right now, like post-augmented Lucky dealing with. I mean, this is probably something that would have happened before season 2 of you guys being stranded and you working out some things, emotionally and spiritually in your life. But I would have loved to have seen like a really mentally tortured Lucky like go down that.
Who's to say? some of his actions thus far have seemed erratic. Perhaps it is the effects of drugs.
So the drug you took has very, very, very latent effects that make you throw ale glasses at police officers.
Time has passed, Reed, since we left that planet, and so he may be coping in some unhealthy ways, and now we're seeing it bubble up during missions.
This is your withdrawal symptom.
Who's the real role player, Mike? Who's the real RP in this game?
It's great. It's really good stuff. Great.
I hope that this is going to be a PSA against drug use and not for.
Yeah, don't do drugs, kids. I think we actually did say in that episode, don't do drugs.
No, very much don't.
I believe I called it out and said, or do. I'm not your dad, but then I had to double back and say, no, don't. That's bad.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Listen, I know I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here, and this is the quarantine talking. You know, I just say decriminalize all drugs. That's my theory. Just like everything.
All of them?
All of them.
All of them?
Carte blanche.
It's a brave stance.
Hot take. Okay.
You know what I mean? It's
heard it here first.
It's
Read 2020, guys.
Read 2020. It's a late push, but I think we can make.
Hop on in there.
I think we can
legalize them all.
Hey. That's my platform.
That's the slogan.
Play D&D and make all drugs legal.
Hey, I mean, I guarantee you we would see a surge of young voters if that was my platform. Be like, everyone else would be like, listen, this guy, what he says makes a lot of sense.
You would have a very interesting voter base.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now Reed has to say, or do drugs. I'm not your dad, unless you're Mason, in which case I am your dad. Do not do drugs.
Yeah, I mean that's the qualifier there. I'm not your dad, but if I am, you still have to listen to me. Also, you're 1.5, so you know.
Has it settled in for any of you guys that like your kids could eventually listen to all of this?
Yes.
No.
No.
This is a part of our lives they may end up digging up when they're older. And
Danny, maybe you should start thinking about that.
If your kids are old enough to think you're lame, I think you should be considering these things. Does your daughter think you're lame?
No.
Really? I feel like my son already thinks I'm a dork, and he's only 1.5.
I'm out of here.
So, what about you?
Done.
What about you, Mike?
Oh.
Dad, you are the best dad ever.
She has never experienced another dad.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Wow,
Who wrote that?
Kelsey.
Who wrote that, Dan?
That looks like your handwriting, Dan. I've seen you write. You wrote me a letter once. That looks like your handwriting.
Trying to write with your left?
Yeah.
That is how Dan spells ever in text messages.
EVR.
So, I actually have had this thought in my head of like, yeah, what happens like when my son becomes old enough to be embarrassed by all of these episodes and like the stuff we've put out. And then I immediately just pivot and I say, well, like, what if Sneak Attack just becomes his thing after a while? Like, I pass it down like
the heir to the throne.
Yeah. But then
our kids play.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you
each have to pick one kid.
Yeah.
Danny, Mike, you have to choose one.
See, we have it easy. It's just like the only option.
Yep. You could give one to Josh.
I'll DM for the kids. That'll be fun.
And then I had another idea where I thought, well,
Josh DMing for a bunch of little kids.
I had this other idea where I thought, what if when Mason gets old enough to talk, like I make a podcast that's like bedtime stories where he tells me a story and then I turn that into like a one-shot adventure. So we have like,
oh, that's fun.
Like 4 or 6 episodes a year or something of like just him making up something ridiculous on the spot and then me trying to turn that into a campaign.
That's copyright. That's copyrighted. No one can steal it.
Yeah. So I think that would be kind of fun too. But it's like, that's like Axe Cop though. Where like, you guys familiar with Axe Cop?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's some dude had his son tell him a story and then he turned it into a webcomic. and then eventually got turned into a Fox animated show that's voiced by Nick Offerman.
Whoa.
Yeah, so but it's like this wacky, like totally off the wall, obviously
Pretty up
like
there.
5-year-old inspired. Yeah, it's like it's very funny, and like that kid's father like helps with the story arc, but mostly it's just a lot of wacky stuff that his kid comes up with. So
That's cool.
I think that would be fun. That submission was from Sarah Washington. Sarah, long story short, I don't know about Lucky's addictions. Maybe we'll play more into that, but probably not. It's up to Josh.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, we got 2 more here. Go ahead with the next one there, Dan.
Here we go.
No.
I didn't think so, clan deserter.
I'm not a clan deserter.
What?
You called me a clan deserter.
Sir, I don't know what you're talking about.
What listen here, Edwin.
Hey,
Hey,
maybe we
He
should just
walks up
come
to him,
back.
stands up.
Hey, whoa. And he kind of takes that back and he's like, man, I don't know what your problem is. I don't want any trouble, though.
You start calling more names, and you're the one who's going to need a cleric.
Oh, I mean, I don't know what you're talking. And he keeps taking a step back. He's like, can you please help me
Hey,
here?"
dude, Greg, let's just come back. It's not that big of a deal.
You hear what he called me?
That was submitted by Sky. Thank you, Sky. That I legitimately, it's been so long since we did that. I mean, that's early volume 1, like episode 14 or something.
You turned everybody against me.
Yeah, that the question that accompanied it specifically was that communicated to the group beforehand, like everyone but Josh, that I was going to be like slipping that stuff into conversation? And the answer is emphatically yes. I certainly did communicate that to the group, which was really.
There were actually times where I was curious if I had like missed something, especially where like Kelsey or one of you guys just said it offhand, like in the middle of a conversation, and I remember being like, "Wait, did you just call me?" And it just was like this. I legitimately was confused for a moment.
Thought he was going crazy. It was very entertaining.
That's exactly what I was hoping for. Is you questioning not only like Greg questioning his sanity, but you as Josh being like, "Wait, did I actually misunderstand them, or did you call me? Like, did I hear you correctly?"
Yeah,
that was really
well done.
That was really fun. There's again, I know I'm kind of romanticizing volume 1 a little bit, but like that's that Under the Mountain series where like since you got barfed on by the infected bear, you like that creature had mind control over you because it was like part of his symbiote thing.
Yeah,
Like that was really fun stuff, and that was early Sneak Attack.
Yep.
It's like I don't know, I kind of miss that stuff. Just obviously we could do it in some sci-fi setting, but it feels like the D&D fantasy aspect of it just you have a little bit more freedom with
It's
just
magic.
like wacky stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
The wackiness never really seems out of place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always kind of fun. I feel like I could have had an opportunity to do that with Chip though too. Like your memories being fractured, not really knowing what was real, what you're manufacturing. I could have done something fun like that as well. No.
Have some wild code in there.
Yeah.
You like me too much as a person, so to do that to me.
Perhaps. I feel like I don't screw with you guys enough anymore.
I think.
What do you mean by
anymore?
Goofing on us?
He doesn't dunk on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DM.
You know,
I did enjoy the gaffs.
The gaffs and goofs.
Yeah.
It's I mean, Dathmeros literally, I mean, his initials are DM. There's no mistaking my intentions of like that's just a real life or like in-game version of myself that I can torture you guys.
The author insert.
You did a great job.
Hey. Nailed it. So I feel like I don't know. Those were really fun. There's that actually like creating a character that was so hated, but the dude kind of reveled in it.
He kind of got away in the end, right? Like he didn't get destroyed.
Oh, he got chopped in half.
Oh, he did. That okay. Good deal.
He killed him. Westra killed him the same time she killed, like she sacrificed herself to kill him in the final battle.
That's
I
right.
want to. Why did you think that Brenna would be satisfied if he was still living?
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember if there were still like agents of evil in the world of Brannis.
There are always agents of evil, Josh.
Always. I think like it was a nice like Infinity War style or Endgame style like, and everyone dies because of a wish spell, because of the Infinity Gauntlet. It was like this one kill switch Deus Ex Machina thing that is just like, hey, cool, we did it. But there's always opposition. There's always another threat. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making any more Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, did you ever? This is my question. Did you ever, like, have anything else you wanted to do with the wish spell other than turn him into a tree?
No. I mean, obviously, that probably wasn't the first thing, but I thought since it was kind of like the end of everything, we needed to have probably a more creative way instead of I just get big and like punch him
right
in the face or something like that. So I don't know. Yeah, no, something that fit nicely.
Yeah, and I thought it was beautiful, but literally in my notes for those last sessions, I have like 3 options of things, because you talked to me about the tree thing, so that wasn't like out of left field for me. But then I'd written down 2 other alternatives that you didn't talk to me about, just as like, hey, I'm just in case he curveballs me on this one, which wouldn't be the first time. So I had one that was like, what would happen if Sherwood wishes that Valasar never existed?
Ooh.
Because that's a very much like, chaos theory thing of like, well, if that's the case, then magic never entered the world, in which case there are no wizards, and then like that extrapolates like all the way down further. And you guys probably never would have met each other. Oh, that's right. I think I had a thing. I think I had like a montage series of you guys all in your respective areas, like as individuals, never having met each other. Of like what you were doing in that time. And I think like Akio was with his friend, like not at university because there's no wizard schools. So I think like you and your friend that died in university like opened a noodle shop together. Greg, you were like king over your clan.
Dude, Mike, why didn't you wish for this?
Friendship.
But the second one literally was just, I wrote down good luck, Reed, because I had, again, but no idea what else. Like those are like the only 2 things I could think of. So the other one was just like, I hope I can riff something fun.
I do distinctly remember moments, Reed, where afterwards, if you were still at the house after everybody left, and you were like, I literally talked to them about what we were gonna do, and Danny did something completely different than what we had planned.
It's true.
Or it was just funny to me how that was a thing. Like you did try sometimes to go, what do you think about this or that? But in the moment, we kind of followed our hearts, and
Yes.
There has been something in volume 2 where I specifically gave Danny insider information, and he's told no one about it. Like even to this day.
Good job, Dan.
Yeah, we're really growing and maturing here.
This is the moment where Dan goes,
it's on my blog.
What was it?
It's behind a paywall.
Yeah,
on my blog.
It's the New York Times.
You think it's a blog, but it's like you think it's a blog, but really it's like The Office. Reed just opened a Microsoft Word document on your computer. Creedsthoughts.com.
It's Ethan's an Echo. Ethan's an Echo, right? He's an Echo. Everybody knows he's an Echo.
That's it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. Like, Dan will tell the group about this, and it'll kind of segue into some other things. And Dan was just like, I keep it to myself. I was like, okay, I guess that's happening. Yeah, not upset. Just like, yeah, here we are.
Is it that the Chancellor's his dad?
It's that the Chancellor, a Praetorian, is a human's father.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dan, we got one more clip, and we're nearly at an hour, so let's wrap this thing up.
All right, here goes. Are you ready, Reed?
Oh, I'm ready.
What? Triple zeros. It's one. He rolled a 100.
He rolled triple zeros.
That's 100.
It's it.
Yes.
Dan!
What's 100?
Whatever you want.
I'm gonna say it's whatever you want.
Anything?
No, anything from the list.
This was off your
I
patch.
think I know what you want.
Your patch coat.
You rolled 100. Okay. One of these options is a bottomless pit.
So,
I forgot about the patch coat.
yeah,
Oh, I love the patch.
the patch coat was
Just
one of my
another-
favorite things.
Another chaotic, wondrous item that Reed just
Mm.
threw into the game.
It was the best.
I mean, the number of items or things I gave you that totally upended all of my plans is probably too many to count at this point.
It's just at that point you're just like, bring it on. Why
Yeah.
not? Like what?
You really-
can't just add chaos to chaos.
You were your
Sleepy
own
potions are
worst
the best,
enemy. Yes, sleepy potions. You were your
Yeah.
own worst enemy, Reed.
Yeah, the sleepy potion, your multicolored coat, Dan's patch coat, the amulet as like in and of itself. Yeah, it was definitely, it's like I revel in the challenge. I revel in the misery of like working very hard at planning and just being like, I wonder how much I can improv if need be. That's just kind of where it was. But yeah, so I don't even remember what you were fighting in that moment. But the fact that maybe it was that there was like some strong enemy, but it wasn't like a monster or a giant. It was just like a dude, and I'm pretty sure you gonged him in the head with an iron door.
Yeah.
But the way you killed him was with a bottomless pit. But I forget who the enemy was.
Was this in the woods or was this?
I feel like. Do you guys remember when Westra teleported the whale, like the blue whale, to crush all those enemies?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was around that same encounter. There was like one big bad guy that was leading this group.
Didn't I die in that encounter?
You probably went down, but I mean that's not
But
specific
I
enough.
always went down.
Yeah. So I feel like it was that encounter. You gonged him in the head with an iron door, and then you summoned a bottomless pit underneath him and killed him that way.
It had to have been pretty bad for me to use the patches because I did not want to use those.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to hold on to those for as long as possible.
Oh gosh.
So, especially for me to use 2 in an encounter, which I'm pretty sure I did. Things had to have been going south pretty bad.
I do feel like you went down in that fight, but again, like truly you did.
Turning point.
You did go down a lot.
Yeah, I was a glass cannon.
That was I think Westra dropped the whale. You grew a tree, rode the tree up over the whale, and then hopped on the other side and like nearly went down or did go down, and then you used your patch after you got rezzed.
Didn't
That was in the
something like a
final
boulder
battle.
Or something crush me?
Didn't what?
Didn't like a boulder or something crush me?
Probably. Falling rocks is one of my favorite D&D like environmental weapons. It was very close to the final battle. I think that was on the Elf Island. So you guys like went back to Laurendale to go to under the Pearl, which was the lake. And I think that was like one of the things you did right before because everyone was on your tail trying to stop you
Yeah.
from accomplishing your task, and that was like one of the last fights right before you guys got the last stone for the amulet, I think. Again, it's been like almost 2 years since we ended Volume 1. That's crazy, guys. 2 years.
Wow.
So that's that's all of the clips we have, but that is not all the clips that were submitted. Even just in like the week between the end of like episode 4, which is the last episode to release, and now, which is when we're recording, like 40 submissions got sent in. So thank you guys for the submissions. Keep on sending them. Obviously you don't have new episodes to listen to, but go back, listen to the old stuff. It's always fun to relive those kind of cringy moments when we didn't know what we were doing at first. But listen to something. If it's something jumps out at you, write it down, make a note, and then use the form in the link. The link to the form is in the description of this video, as well as this podcast release. And go let us know what it is. We want to hear it. It's super fun for us to take a look back at where we came from, and kind of just like the group dynamic is so different now than it was then, just because of characters and the roles they're assuming. So it's really fun to hear like Brenna be Brenna. You know what I mean? And
yeah, it was weird hearing the Greg voice. Sure.
And I love the way you said apocalypse because it sounded like you had food in your mouth. You're like, he's a yeah, that's kind of what it was. You're the apocalypse. So it was really fun. So but it doesn't have to be old stuff. It can be volume 2 stuff too. We want to hear that stuff as well. So appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed this, again, kind of different look into how we get together and how we hang out. Obviously things are different, and we're being safe. We're doing our best to keep the curve down, practice correct social distancing, and I hope you guys are doing the same. So thank you very much for tuning in. I don't know how frequently we're going to do these. Probably like 1 or 2 a month would be my guess, but we're kind of figuring this out as we go, which to me is exciting. It feels very like early Sneak Attack to be like, hey, we're in my kitchen, or now we're all in our own houses, and we're just kind of feeling it out. So let us know what you guys think of this format. Always welcome your feedback. It's one of my favorite things. So that's going to do it. My name's Reed. I'm here. All around me, we have
Kelsey!
Josh.
Dan.
Mike.
Bye, guys. Thank you.